So when he was dying, he said, he cried. So they told him, his people around him, his family, why are you crying? He said, for 95 years, since he was 10 years old, he put himself and his feet on the path of Allah. Since 95 years, I've been trying to open this door, and I'm about to open it. I've been trying to open the door to Allah, and it's about to open. And I don't know what Allah will tell me. Go to hell or go to heaven. La ilaha illallah. One of the ulama of al-Muslimin, one of the most righteous people, and one of the zuhad, and one of the closest people to Allah, spent 95 years in the service of the deen of Allah. He says, when it opens, I don't know if I will be told to go to hellfire or to heaven. What should we say about ourselves? So be aware of that. So three kinds of people. Raghibun, Rahibun. Other group will be scared. They don't know what's going to happen to them. They don't know how Allah will treat them. And you should not be thinking that you are safe from the makr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَإِثْنَيْنِ عَلَى بَعِيرٍ وَثَلَاثَةٍ عَلى بَعِيرٍ وَتَحْشُرُ بَقِيَّتُهُمُ النَّارِ تبيت حيث يبيتون وتقيل حيث يقيلون وتمسي حيث يمسون أعوذ بالله من النار. And the third group will be resurrected and chased by the hellfire. By the hellfire. Where they go, the fire will follow. When they sit down, يوم كان مقداره 50,000 سنة. It's a day that as long as 50,000 years. Whenever they sit, the fire will sit with them. When they walk, the fire walks with them. When they lay down, the fire lays down with them. They take qaylula and the nap, the fire will nap with them. Fire around them. أعوذ بالله من النار. Seek refuge from the hellfire. Your messenger sought refuge from the hellfire. So those are three different mentalities. So imagine the life that they will have in Hadith Sahih, as I said, in Bukhari and Muslim. Umar bin Abdul Aziz, Amir al-Mu'mineen, rahimahullah, the Khalif, the number one person in the in the whole nation. At the end of the day, he will call the ulama to his gathering. And he will tell them, act the day of judgment to it. Act. So one will say, I'm about to die. And now the angel of death comes to me. And he asks my soul to leave. Then the next will say, and now I'm placed in the grave. And this and that. And the third will say, now I'm rising after the trumpet. And the other will say, now we're standing before Allah. Just to remind himself. The Khalif. Just to remind himself. So they said, فَنَنْتَشِرُ مِنْ عِنْدِ وَعَلَيْكُمْ السَّلَامُ فَنَنْتَشِرُ مِنْ عِنْدِ أَمِيرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَكَأَنَّنَا فِي أَرْضِ الْمَحْشَرِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. He said, we leave after that meeting every night. We leave and our hearts feel and we feel as if we are on the day of judgment standing before Allah. How many of us hear this ayat and hear this hadith, and once they walk out of that door, back to the dunya and back to the disobedience and back to the ma'asiyah? Sad. I told you, the dunya cannot be in your heart, because that's what happens to you. You will tremble and you will calm down and you will be affected and you will be influenced when you hear the maw'id. While you're hearing it, some people might cry while they're hearing it, and if they were to record it and take it with them and listen to it again, it will not do anything to them. It's just at that instance, once they receive the knowledge, that is unaware, sleeping, and maybe dead heart. So be aware. If that's how it happens to you, you need to check because your heart might be dead. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى in سورة مريم يوم نحشر المتقين إلى الرحمن وفدا ونسوق المجرمين إلى جهنم وردا. That is how. Didn't I tell you two groups? Muttaqeen, those who had the conscience and those who had the piety of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those who are mujrimeen, criminals. Those who committed crimes against themselves before anyone else. Who committed crime against Allah before anything else. When they disobeyed Allah. And when they thought they were better than making sajda and making prostration. When they thought they are rich. So how can they put their foot next to their feet or put their head next to the feet of someone who's poor? And maybe the one of them will build his own masjid. So he doesn't have to deal with that. And maybe the one of them will book his own spot. So no one can pray. So if someone takes that spot, he will torture. Some people like that. So those are the mujrimeen. Those whom Allah called criminals. So the muttaqeen, those with piety, the fear of Allah, the conscience of Allah, those who fulfilled the orders, those who lived their life according to the way the one who created them ordered them to do, muttaqeen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide them. ورد إلى الرحمن وفدا. وفد فرسان. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide them to Himself. وفدا. يقول علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه, الوفد got to be riding. When a group of people are called wafd, that means they got to be riding. They don't walk. Al-wafd doesn't walk. Al-wafd doesn't walk. And I told you what the Prophet said. So here, this group of people, those who have taqwa, muttaqeen, will be riding to Allah. To go see the Rahman. Alright? That's one group. So be honored. If you are from amongst those, be honored. And be happy. And be proud. And you will be passing by those who are not riding. And you will see what happens to them. And we will talk about the conversations that will take place between the people of paradise and the people of hellfire when time comes. But that's what will happen. And we will talk about the conversation and the pride, the people who are receiving their books with their right hands. And we will talk about the misery of people who are receiving their books in their left hand. All that will happen. It's a time of challenge. And it's a time of conversations. You see, when they used to make fun of the believers in this dunya, they see you praying. Oh, you praying? You guys still do these things? When they see you doing that and obeying Allah, I'm living according to the book of Allah. Oh, that was 1400 years ago. Now we're in different world. Now it's different mentalities. Now it's different societies. Now there's technology, and there is this, and there is internet, and there is TV, and people can communicate, and the whole world is a small village. And you're still following a book written 15 or 1400 years ago? Well, you're not following it. I see that you're miserable. The world is not following it. The world is not following any book. Supposedly they believe from Allah. They went and they created their own law. The British created their own law and spread it all over the world. And the French created their own law and spread it on the rest of the world. And the Americans have their own law. And in less than the time the United Nations was established, we had more than 65 wars. 65 wars. United Nations established to say all nations are equal. And all nations should come together. And here we have 65 wars. What is the deal with that? Where is the United Nations? When people are exterminated in Gaza, and the Human Rights Report, Human Rights, that is a branch of the United Nations, reports come that the Palestinians as well as the Israelis committed genocides and committed war crimes. Equal. People who were throwing rocks and rockets supposedly